Chosen one, why do you feel eyes on you when you're completely alone? Why, at 3 a.m., when you're lying in that hospital bed, when the nurses have gone, when your family's asleep, why does it feel like someone is standing at the foot of your bed, watching? Why have you spent 70, 80, maybe 90 years feeling like you're being observed, studied, tracked, like your life is a test and someone's grading every move you make? Let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. You weren't imagining it. If you've ever walked into a room and felt eyes on your spirit, even when no one was there, this message is for you. If you've ever turned around in an empty house because you knew someone was watching, if you've ever prayed alone and felt a presence so strong it made the hair on your arms stand up, if you've ever whispered your secrets into the darkness and wondered if anyone heard, they did. This is not paranoia. This is not your age playing tricks on your mind. This is not loneliness making you imagine things. This is spiritual sensitivity, and it's been following you since the day you took your first breath. Listen carefully, dear one. You need to understand something. Heaven watches, hell watches, and the world watches. But they're not watching you for the same reasons. Think about every moment you thought you were alone. That hospital room when the diagnosis came. That kitchen table at midnight when you cried into your coffee, wondering if God still remembered your name. That prayer closet where you whispered your deepest fears to a God you hoped was listening. You were never alone. Not for 1 second. There are 3 watchers assigned to your life, and they've been tracking you since before you understood what it meant to be chosen. First, heaven's watchers, angels, messengers, guardians, who have been standing watch over you when you didn't even know you needed protection. Second, the enemy's watchers, opposition, darkness, forces that have been studying your movements, waiting for you to stumble because they recognize the threat you pose to their kingdom. Third, human watchers. People who can't look away. Some watch with curiosity, some with jealousy, some with misunderstanding. But they watch because something about you disturbs the ordinary. Before we go deeper, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and sow that seed of faith. But here's what's going to wreck everything you thought you knew about your life. The real question isn't why they watch. The question is, what do they see when they look at you? Before I take you deeper, type "I am seen by heaven" in the comments. Let the watchers in the spirit realm know you are aware, because you're about to understand why your life felt surveilled from childhood to old age, and why that feeling never went away. You know what terrifies you most at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep? It's not death, it's not pain, it's the fear that you've become invisible, that nobody's watching anymore, that you've faded into the background of a world that's moved on without you. But what if I told you that at this very moment right now, as you sit there wondering if anyone still sees you, there are eyes on you that have never blinked? What if the surveillance you felt your entire life isn't invasion, but divine protection? Let me take you somewhere sacred. Psalm 121, verse 4. Listen to these words like you've never heard them before. He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Think about that, dear one. The God of the universe, the one who holds galaxies in his hands, who spoke light into existence, who numbers every star. He doesn't sleep, not for a second, not for a moment, not even when you think he's looking the other way. While you're lying awake at 3 a.m., wondering if anyone cares that you're still breathing, he's watching. While you're eating dinner alone again, staring at the empty chair across from you, he's watching. While your children are too busy to call, while your grandchildren are glued to screens, while the world tells you that you're past your prime, he is watching you with an intensity that would shatter you if you could see it fully. Heaven runs 24-hour surveillance over your life, but not to judge you, not to catch you failing, not to tally your mistakes and throw them back in your face, to protect you, You want to know why you survived that heart attack at 62 when the doctors said you shouldn't have. Someone was watching. You want to know why you didn't give up that night you sat in your car with the bottle of pills, ready to end it all. Someone was watching. You want to know why, after 70, 80, 90 years of this hard life, you're still here when so many others have gone home. Because heaven assigned watchers to your life who refuse to leave their post. The Bible calls them angels, messengers, guardians. Hebrews 1:14 asks, "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" Not some angels. All angels are servants assigned to you. And they're not distant, they're not disconnected, they're not bored celestial beings punching a time clock. They're marking every tear you've cried into your pillow when you thought no one saw. They're recording every moment of endurance when you chose to get up one more morning, even though everything in you wanted to quit. They're standing by your hospital bed when the night nurse has gone and the room feels too quiet and too dark. They're guarding your lonely dinners, those silent meals where the only sound is the fork against the plate and the TV playing to an audience of one. You are not invisible, beloved. You are not forgotten. You are not a burden that society has shuffled aside. Heaven watches you with the tenderness a mother has for her newborn. Do you remember holding your own child for the first time? Do you remember how you couldn't take your eyes off them? How you watched their tiny chest rise and fall, counting every breath, making sure they were okay? How you would check on them in the middle of the night just to see them sleeping peacefully? That's how heaven watches you. Right now, at your age, with your wrinkles, your scars, your medication bottles lined up on the counter, your walker by the door, your reading glasses you can never find. God looks at you and sees someone so precious, so valuable, so irreplaceable, that he stationed an entire battalion of heaven's finest to make sure nothing, absolutely nothing, can pluck you from his hand. You think you're just an old person taking up space. Heaven sees a warrior who's survived decades of spiritual warfare. You think you're washed up, past your expiration date. Heaven sees someone who's been refined by fire and is more valuable now than ever before. You think your best days are behind you. Heaven sees your finest hour approaching. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what makes the angels weep. You've spent your whole life feeling watched, and instead of finding comfort in it, you felt hunted. Instead of feeling protected, you felt paranoid. Instead of recognizing divine surveillance as love, you've experienced it as pressure. The enemy twisted it. He took the most beautiful truth that you are never alone, never unseen, never forgotten, and he turned it into anxiety. He made you feel like you were being monitored instead of cherished, stalked instead of safeguarded. But tonight, that lie dies. You feel watched because you are watched by the one who refuses to lose you. By the one who has invested too much in you to let you fall now. By the one who knows that your story isn't over, your purpose isn't complete, and your life still carries weight in the spiritual realm that this world cannot comprehend. Every time you felt that presence, that awareness, that sense of being observed, that was confirmation, not condemnation. That was heaven saying, "We see you. We're here. You matter more than you know." Your grandchildren might not call. Your children might be too busy. Your friends might have passed on. The world might have forgotten your name. But heaven knows it. Angels speak it. God has it written on the palms of his hands. You are under holy surveillance, and that surveillance is the reason you're still standing. But heaven isn't the only realm watching you. Let me tell you something that's going to make your blood run cold and your spirit burn hot at the same time. The enemy studies what he fears, and he fears you. You've wondered your whole life why everything felt harder for you than for others, haven't you? Why every step forward came with 3 steps of resistance. Why success in your life always had a price tag attached. Why peace never lasted long before the next storm rolled in. Dear one, that wasn't bad luck. That was surveillance. Hell has been tracking your movements like a hawk watches a field mouse. But here's what they don't want you to know. Hawks don't watch mice. Hawks watch threats. And you, beloved, you are a Category 5 hurricane to the kingdom of darkness, and they know it. Darkness monitors the brightest candles. Think about it. When you walk into a pitch-black room with a candle, where do all the shadows run? Away from the light. But before they run, they watch. They calculate. They measure the radius of your glow to see how much territory they're about to lose. That's been your life. Every demon assigned to your bloodline has been watching you, studying you, tracking every prayer you whisper, every tear you cry, every moment you bow your knee to the Almighty. Why? Because they've seen your file. They know what's written about you in heaven's archives, and they're terrified of what happens when you finally wake up to who you really are. You've felt it, haven't you? That spiritual heaviness that settles on your shoulders right when you're about to break through. That sudden financial crisis that hits right when provision was coming. That relationship that exploded right when unity was forming. That health attack that struck right when your ministry was about to launch. Those weren't coincidences. Those were tactical strikes. The enemy has been playing chess with your life, and every move you made, he was watching. Not because you're cursed, because you're dangerous. Hell doesn't waste ammunition on empty guns. Satan doesn't deploy his finest demons against powerless people. But you've had war assigned to you since childhood. Remember when Pharaoh ordered every Hebrew baby boy killed in Exodus 1:22? Then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people. Every Hebrew boy that is born, you must throw into the Nile. Why? Because he knew a deliverer was coming. He didn't know which baby it would be, so he tried to kill them all. That's how threatened he was by potential. The same thing happened to you. The enemy saw your potential before you were born, and he's been trying to abort your purpose ever since. Those sudden setbacks when everything was going right. Surveillance, strike. That unexplained resistance when you were doing everything correctly. Monitored attack. That jealousy from people who should have celebrated you. Spiritual interference. That heaviness you carry that doctors can't diagnose and therapists can't explain. Demonic observation trying to crush what it cannot control. Let me speak directly to you right now, you who are 70, 75, 80 years old, sitting there thinking your best days are behind you. Do you know what the enemy fears most about you? Your survival. You've made it through storms that would have destroyed people half your age. You've endured depression that should have taken you out in your 40s. You've survived betrayals that should have made you bitter and cold. You've walked through financial valleys that should have left you hopeless. You've buried people you loved and somehow found the strength to keep breathing. Hell has thrown everything at you for decades, and you're still here. Still praying. Still believing. Still standing. That terrifies them, because they know something you're just now beginning to remember. They know that your next prayer may break a generational chain. Your next act of obedience may shift the atmosphere over your entire family. Your next declaration may open a door in the spirit realm that's been sealed for 100 years. Job 1:7 says, "The Lord said to Satan, 'Where have you come from?' Satan answered the Lord, 'From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it.'" The devil is still roaming, still watching, still tracking, but notice God asked where he came from, not where he was going, because the enemy can only operate in places God allows, and he can only watch what God permits him to see, which means every attack you've survived, every surveillance you've endured, every moment you felt the weight of invisible eyes. God saw it all. God allowed it all, not to harm you, but to prepare you. The enemy's been watching to destroy. God's been watching to develop. Hell monitored you to find your weakness. Heaven observed you to build your strength. You are not paranoid. You are not crazy. You are not imagining things. You have been under spiritual surveillance your entire life, because both heaven and hell recognize that you carry something this generation desperately needs. But here's what's going to cut deeper than any demonic attack ever could. The watching that hurts the most isn't from heaven or hell. It's from people. You know what hurts the most? It's not the enemies who come after you. It's the people who should love you, but can't stop studying you instead. Your own daughter watches how you pray and rolls her eyes. Your son-in-law whispers to your grandchildren when you leave the room. That neighbor you've known for 40 years, she watches your mailbox, counts your visitors, tracks when your lights go on and off. Even at church, especially at church, you feel the stares, the murmurs, the conversations that stop when you walk by. You've felt it your whole life, haven't you? That invisible barrier, that sense of being different, set apart, odd. And you've asked yourself 1,000 times, what is wrong with me? But chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to crack your heart wide open. Nothing is wrong with you. Everything is right with you. And that's exactly why they can't look away. You see, human beings are wired to watch what disturbs their normal. A lighthouse doesn't try to shine, it just does. And every ship within 50 miles notices. Not because the lighthouse is loud or demanding attention, but because light in darkness is impossible to ignore. That's you, dear one. You are the lighthouse. And they are the ships trying to navigate stormy waters in pitch-black night. They watch you because something in you reminds them of what they've lost, or what they never had, or what they're terrified they'll never become. Let me break down exactly what you're attracting and why it's been haunting you for decades. You attract jealousy from those who see your peace in the middle of chaos and resent it. They've been chasing happiness through money, status, control, and you found it on your knees in a prayer closet. That infuriates them. You attract fascination from seekers who don't know what they're looking for, but recognize you carry it. They hover around you at family gatherings. They ask you questions they don't ask anyone else. They watch how you respond when life hits you hard. You attract confusion from people who can't figure you out. You should be bitter after what you've been through, but you're not. You should be broke after all those years of tithing, but somehow you're still standing. You should be lonely at your age, but you radiate a fullness they can't comprehend. You attract admiration from the humble who see what God has preserved in you. The young mother who sits next to you at church and feels safe. The teenager who actually listens when you speak. The stranger in the grocery store who asks you to pray for them without knowing why. And you attract resentment from those who wanted to see you fail, and you refuse to give them the satisfaction. Listen to me, dear friend. You've lived long enough to know people watch, not because you are weak, but because you carry wisdom wrapped in humility. You've survived what killed their faith. You've forgiven what destroyed their joy. You've trusted God through valleys that made them curse His name. The Apostle Paul knew this. 1 Corinthians 4-9 says, "We have been made a spectacle to the whole world, to angels as well as to human beings." A spectacle, something put on display, not for shame, but for testimony. Not for mockery, but for proof that God keeps His promises, even when the road gets long. You thought you were being watched because something was wrong with you. But you were being watched because something was right with you. Something rare, something the world doesn't produce anymore. Something that can only be forged through decades of walking with God, when walking with God wasn't popular, profitable, or applauded. Think about Job. His friends watched him suffer and concluded he must have sinned. His wife watched him worship in the ashes and told him to curse God and die. But God was watching too. And Job 42-12 tells us, "The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part." They watched him expecting collapse. God watched him planning restoration. Do you see it now? The watchers in your life aren't neutral. They're positioned. Some are positioned by the enemy to discourage you. Some are positioned by God to be transformed by you. And you won't always know which is which until the season reveals it. But here's what breaks my heart. Too many of you have spent years trying to make the watchers comfortable, trying to dim your light so they won't feel convicted, trying to blend in so they'll stop whispering, trying to be normal when God specifically called you to be set apart. Proverbs 4:18 declares, "The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day." Notice it doesn't say, the righteous dim their light to make others comfortable. It says, they shine brighter. Progressively, unapologetically, increasingly. Your daughter watches you because she's trying to figure out how you survived what she's barely enduring. Your neighbor watches because deep down she knows her life is empty and yours is full. The church watches because they're waiting to see if your faith is real or performance. Let them watch. Because every time they watch you choose peace over panic, forgiveness over bitterness, worship over complaint, you're preaching a sermon their souls desperately need, but their pride won't let them ask for. Type God still sees me if this part is speaking directly to your life. Because what I'm about to tell you next is going to shatter everything you thought you understood about why you've been watched your entire life. The human surveillance, that's just the surface. But there's a deeper reason for the watching. Older than your lifetime, deeper than your pain, more strategic than you ever imagined. And it traces all the way back to a war that started before you were born. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to tell you will explain every single moment of your life when you felt different, watched, set apart. Before your parents saw you, heaven marked you. Before your mother held you in her arms, before the doctor announced your arrival, before your first cry echoed through that delivery room, God had already written your name in his book, not penciled in, not suggested, written, permanent, sealed. Jeremiah 1-5 cuts through every lie you've ever believed about being ordinary. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Did you catch that? Before he formed you, he knew you. That means your soul existed in the mind of God before your body existed on earth. Your assignment was given before your first breath. Your calling was established before your conception. This is why you've been watched your entire life. Your life has been under surveillance because your assignment began before your body did. Think about your childhood for a moment. Really think about it. You were different, weren't you? While other kids played without a care in the world, you felt things, deep things. You sensed when adults were lying. You knew when something bad was about to happen. You carried a weight that had no name, a knowing that had no explanation. That wasn't coincidence, that was confirmation. You had sensitivity that other children didn't have. You'd walk into a room and feel the emotional temperature drop. You'd know your grandmother was sick before anyone told you. You'd dream about things that hadn't happened yet, then watch them unfold exactly as you saw them. You had intuition that made adults uncomfortable. They'd ask, "How did you know that?" And you couldn't explain it. You just knew. You always just knew. You had moral clarity when others saw gray areas. Right and wrong weren't debatable to you, they were absolute. You couldn't understand why people lied, cheated, or hurt each other. It confused you. It broke your heart. You were the different one, the odd one, the one who didn't quite fit in at family gatherings, who sat alone at lunch, who preferred books to parties, silence to noise. They called you shy. They called you weird. They called you too sensitive. But heaven called you chosen. And those spiritual dreams, oh beloved, those weren't just dreams. Those were downloads. Divine intelligence being planted in your subconscious while your conscious mind slept. You'd wake up at 6 years old with wisdom that shouldn't have been in a child's heart. You'd speak things that shocked the adults around you. And the protection, the unexplainable protection. How many times should you have died but didn't? How many accidents should have claimed you but somehow, miraculously, you walked away? That car that swerved at the last second. That illness that should have killed you, but you recovered. That moment on the edge of the bridge. The pills in your hand, the rope around your neck, and something stopped you. That wasn't luck, dear one. That was assignment. You couldn't die because your work wasn't finished. You were being watched, protected, preserved. The watching began before your first breath. And it has never stopped. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what the enemy has worked overtime to hide from you. You've spent 70, 80, 90 years believing that this surveillance was a curse, that being watched meant being judged, that being different meant being defective. You thought the watching was punishment, but it was positioning. You thought the attention was scrutiny, but it was security. You thought being marked meant being cursed. But beloved, you were marked because you are wanted, not by this world. This world has rejected you, overlooked you, underestimated you. But by heaven, you are wanted by heaven itself. The creator of the universe, the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, he wants you. He chose you. He marked you as his own. Do you understand what this means? Do you grasp the magnitude of this truth? Every time you felt eyes on you in an empty room, that was confirmation. Every time you sensed a presence when you prayed, that was validation. Every time you knew you weren't alone, even when you were physically isolated, you were right. You are watched because you are wanted by heaven. The angels assigned to your life have been taking notes since your first breath. Every prayer you've whispered, every tear you've cried, every moment you chose faith over fear recorded, documented, celebrated in the courts of heaven. But let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. Something happens when a chosen one ages. Something shifts in the spiritual realm when you enter your golden years. The watching doesn't decrease, it intensifies. Because now you're not just marked, now you're matured, now you're not just called, now you're qualified, now you're not just chosen, now you're ready. And that terrifies hell. Because a chosen one who has survived 70, 80, 90 years of spiritual warfare, a marked one who has endured every attack and is still standing, still believing, still fighting, that's not just dangerous to the kingdom of darkness, that's apocalyptic. So tell me, chosen one, now that you know you were marked before birth, now that you understand the watching wasn't punishment but protection, now that you realize your difference was actually your destiny, what are you going to do with the years you have left? Because the watchers are leaning in, heaven is holding its breath, and the final chapter of your story is about to be written. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. The world has been lying to you about your age. They told you that turning 65 meant stepping aside, that 70 meant slowing down, that 80 meant your time was over. They convinced you that retirement meant retiring from purpose, that white hair meant weakness, that wrinkles meant you were winding down instead of winding up. But what if I told you that everything they said about your golden years was a demonic deception designed to silence the most dangerous weapon in God's arsenal? What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, you are being watched more intensely than you've ever been watched in your entire life? Not less, more. You see, spiritual authority doesn't decrease with age, it increases. And the enemy knows something about you that you're just beginning to remember. You carry something he cannot touch, something he cannot steal, something that gets stronger every single year you survive. Think about this. When you were 20, you had passion but no proof. When you were 40, you had ambition but no scars. When you were 60, you had experience but you were still learning. But now you carry something that cannot be manufactured, cannot be rushed, cannot be faked. You carry legacy oil. The kind that's been refined by 50, 60, 70 years of walking with God through valleys that would have destroyed weaker souls. You carry survivor wisdom, the knowledge that comes only from burying loved ones, weathering financial storms, enduring betrayals, and still choosing faith. You carry intercessor authority, the power of a prayer warrior who has seen God answer, seen him delay, seen him deny, and learned to trust him anyway. You carry generational favor. When you pray, 3 generations behind you and 3 generations ahead of you feel the shift in the atmosphere. The enemy watches you because he knows that time didn't weaken you. Time sharpened you, like a blade that's been honed on the stone of suffering until it can cut through spiritual darkness with a single word. Let me paint you a picture. An aged oak tree and a young sapling stand side by side. The sapling is flexible, green, full of youthful energy. But when the storm comes, when the hurricane winds howl, and the rain beats down, and the lightning strikes, which one stands? The oak, because it has roots that go deeper than you can see, a trunk that's been weathered by 100 storms, branches that provide shade for creatures the sapling can't even imagine yet. That's you, dear one. You are the oak. And every year you thought was taking something from you was actually adding to your depth. But here's what's going to shake you. Heaven knows this too. And because heaven knows the power you carry, heaven has assigned extra watchers to your life right now, not fewer, extra. While you've been sitting in that house thinking you're forgotten, invisible, irrelevant, there are more angels surrounding you now than there were when you were 30. Because you are a pillar, you are an anchor. You are a lighthouse for younger generations who are drowning in a sea of confusion, and they don't even know they're swimming toward your light. Hebrews 12:1 says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses," surrounded, not abandoned, not forgotten, surrounded. Every ancestor who prayed for breakthrough in your bloodline, they're watching. Every saint who went before you, they're watching. Every angel assigned to your protection, they're watching. And they're not watching you fade away. They're watching you finish strong. I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're sitting in that empty house. Your spouse is gone. Your children live 3 states away and call once a month if you're lucky. Your friends from church have passed on, one by one, until you feel like the last soldier standing on a battlefield, everyone else abandoned. You feel alone. But hear me clearly. You are not alone in that house. You are surrounded. Right now, as I speak these words, there are angelic beings in that room with you. Reporting back to the throne room every time you choose worship over worry, every time you pick up that Bible instead of that bottle of pills, every time you get on your knees, when your knees scream in pain because your faithfulness in the secret place is shaking principalities in the unseen realm. You think you're just an old person living out your days. Heaven sees a general who's been through boot camp, survived the war, and is now being positioned for the final, decisive battle. The enemy watches you because you're the proof that God keeps his promises. You're the living testimony that he doesn't abandon his children. You're the evidence that faith isn't just for the young and energetic, it's for the weathered and wise. And here's the revelation that's going to change everything. Your age didn't make you less spiritually visible. Your age made you more spiritually visible. Because when a 20-year-old declares, "God is faithful," the world says, "You haven't lived long enough to know." But when you declare God is faithful after 80 years of walking through fire, even demons have to shut their mouths and listen. Your silver hair is not a sign of decline, it's a crown of glory. Proverbs 16:31 declares, "Gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained in a righteous life." The King James says it even stronger. "The hoary head is a crown of glory." You're not fading, you're crowned. And every force in heaven, hell, and earth is watching to see what a crowned warrior does in their final act. If you receive this truth, if something in your spirit is waking up right now and remembering who you are, type "I still have purpose" in the comments. Let the watchers know you're awake. Because what I'm about to reveal next will explain the most profound reason you've been watched your entire life. The reason that ties everything together. The reason that will make every struggle, every tear, every lonely night make perfect sense. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to reveal to you has been hidden in the courts of heaven since before the foundations of the world were laid. And it's going to shatter everything you thought you knew about why your life has felt so observed. You are not just being watched. You are being witnessed. There's a difference. Being watched is surveillance. Being witnessed is testimony. And right now, at this very moment, your life is unfolding in the most sacred courtroom in all of existence, the divine court of heaven. Turn with me to the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. Do you understand what's happening here? This isn't just a conversation. This is a cosmic courtroom, God presiding, angels assembled, the accuser present, and Job's life, his faithfulness, his suffering, his choices being presented as evidence. Your life is testimony, and testimony requires witnesses. Every single decision you've made, every act of mercy when you had every right to be bitter, every sacrifice you offered when no one was looking, every prayer you whispered through tears at 3 a.m. when the world was sleeping, every heartbreak you survived when dying would have been easier, all of it is being recorded, not to condemn you, to vindicate you. Malachi 3:16 says it plainly. Then those who feared the Lord talked with each other, and the Lord listened and heard. A scroll of remembrance was written in his presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored his name. A scroll, a record, a divine documentation of your faithfulness. You think heaven forgets the night you chose forgiveness over revenge. You think the angels missed the moment you gave your last $20 to someone who needed it more. You think God wasn't paying attention when you stayed faithful to a spouse with dementia for 15 years, changing bedpans and wiping tears when everyone told you to put them in a home. Every single moment, witnessed, recorded, treasured. Here's the mystery that's going to break you open. Your life is a courtroom where angels bear witness to your endurance. And every time you've felt that heavy presence, that sensation of being watched, even in your most private moments, it wasn't intrusion. It was documentation. Heaven was gathering evidence of your faithfulness to present before the throne of God. But let me speak directly to you, dear one, sitting there with silver in your hair and stories etched into the lines of your face. The world looks at you and sees someone past their prime. Society glances at your wrinkles and thinks decline. Your own grandchildren scroll past you on their phones, too distracted to notice the living testimony sitting right in front of them. But heaven? Proverbs 16:31 declares, "Gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained in a righteous life. Not a crown of gold, a crown of glory." Do you understand what that means? Your gray hair is not a sign of aging, it is a crown of evidence. Every silver strand is a witness to a battle you survived. Every line on your face is a testimony to a tear that didn't destroy you. Every scar you carry is evidence presented in the courts of heaven that says, "This one endured." You've spent decades wondering why life has been so hard, why your struggles seemed more intense than others, why you couldn't just coast through like everyone else. Here's why. Because your testimony carries more weight. Because witnesses are needed in the courtroom of eternity. Because the angels themselves are leaning in to watch how you navigate this final chapter. Revelation 12:11 tells us, "They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." Your testimony. Not someone else's polished story. Not the preacher's perfect sermon. Your messy, beautiful, scarred, victorious testimony of survival against all odds. Right now, as I speak these words over your life, do you feel it? That weight settling on your shoulders? That's not burden, beloved. That's the weight of glory. That's the presence of heavenly witnesses who have been assigned to your case, gathering evidence, taking notes, preparing the documentation that will be presented when you finally stand before the judge of all the earth. And here's what's going to wreck you. When you stand in that courtroom, and you will stand there, you won't stand alone. Every angel who watched you pray will testify. Every moment of faithfulness will be entered into evidence. Every tear you cried will be presented as proof. Every time you got back up when staying down would have been easier will be documented and declared before all of heaven. You feel watched because heaven refuses to let your story go unnoticed. The enemy has tried to convince you that you're invisible, that your life doesn't matter, that at your age, with your history, with your mistakes and failures, you're just taking up space. But that's the biggest lie hell ever told. Because if your life didn't matter, why would so many witnesses be assigned to document it? If your choices weren't significant, why would heaven keep such detailed records? If your faithfulness was ordinary, why would the courts of eternity require such careful testimony? You are not ordinary, you are evidence. Living, breathing, walking evidence that God keeps His promises, that faith survives the fire, that love endures all things, that hope does not disappoint. Daniel 7:10 describes the heavenly court. Thousands upon thousands attended Him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before Him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. The books, plural. Not just the book of life. Books containing the detailed records of your faithfulness, your endurance, your victories, your testimony. And here's the question that should set your soul on fire. Because, beloved, the watching doesn't end when you take your last breath. It continues. The testimony doesn't close when your heart stops beating. It echoes. The evidence doesn't disappear when you leave this earth. It remains eternal, unchangeable, powerful, speaking on your behalf long after your voice falls silent. Now, the final answer. The reason this watching will never stop. You know what nobody tells you about being chosen? You can't hide, not spiritually, not ever. For decades, you've wondered why people look at you differently, why strangers in the grocery store lock eyes with you for just a second too long, why co-workers whispered when you walked by, why even your own family treated you like you were from another planet. You thought something was wrong with you. You thought you were broken, weird, too intense, too different. But what if I told you the truth? What if I told you that what they were seeing wasn't a flaw, it was a frequency? Your soul has a light signature. Heaven sees it. Hell recognizes it. People feel it. Listen to me carefully, dear one. In Matthew 5:14-16, Jesus declared something that should shake you to your core. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. Did you catch that? Cannot be hidden. Not should not be hidden. Cannot. It's not optional. You don't get to choose whether your spirit broadcasts or not. If you carry the mark of heaven, you are visible in the spiritual realm, whether you want to be or not. This is why chosen ones cannot hide spiritually. Your spirit emits a frequency that both realms can detect. It's like a radio tower broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And everyone, seen and unseen, is tuning in. Think about your life for a moment. Really think about it. How many times have strangers approached you out of nowhere and started telling you their deepest secrets? How many times have people you just met said, "There's something different about you, I just can't put my finger on it"? How many times have you walked into a room and felt the entire atmosphere shift? That's not coincidence, that's confirmation. Your spirit is not passive, it broadcasts heaven's mark. But here's where it gets painful, and I need you to stay with me. Because this light signature, this spiritual frequency you carry, it's made your life harder than most people could ever understand. You've been targeted, not randomly, strategically. The enemy has been watching you since you were a child, because he recognized what you were carrying before you did. Every betrayal, every setback, every inexplicable attack on your finances, your health, your relationships, that wasn't bad luck. That was targeted warfare against someone whose spirit shines too bright for darkness to ignore. You've been misunderstood. Your depth was called depression. Your discernment was called judgment. Your spiritual sensitivity was labeled as being too emotional or too serious or overly religious. They couldn't understand why you cared so much, felt so deeply, saw so clearly, because they weren't tuned to the frequency you were broadcasting on. You've been singled out. In families where everyone else seemed normal, you were the odd one. In churches where everyone else fit in, you stood out. In communities where everyone else blended, you blazed. And it cost you. It cost you friendships. It cost you opportunities. It cost you peace. You've been envied. People couldn't explain why they resented you, but they did. You weren't trying to outshine anyone. You weren't competing. You were just being yourself. But your light made others feel their darkness, and instead of seeking their own light, they tried to dim yours. And you've been spiritually drained. How many energy vampires have latched onto you over the years? How many people have used you as their personal therapist, their prayer warrior, their emotional dumping ground, and then disappeared the moment you needed support? They weren't drawn to your personality. They were drawn to your light, trying to siphon what they refused to cultivate in themselves. Now I need you to hear this with your whole heart. Hebrews 4:13 tells us, "Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of Him to whom we must give account." Everything is uncovered. Your spirit is transparent to the spiritual realm. Heaven sees your faithfulness in the dark. Hell sees your resistance to temptation. Angels see your midnight prayers. Demons see your warfare. God sees the tears you've cried that no human ever witnessed. You are the most watched person in your own life, and you didn't even know it. But here's the revelation that changes everything. Here's the truth that's going to set you free from decades of shame about being too much or too different. Your spirit is not passive. It broadcasts heaven's mark. And that mark? It's your protection, your authority, your assignment, all wrapped into one brilliant, undeniable frequency that says, "This one belongs to the Most High God." Daniel 10 tells us about a man who prayed for 21 days before an angel finally appeared to him. And the angel said something stunning. "From the first day that you set your heart to understand and humbled yourself before your God, your words were heard. And I have come because of your words." From the first day, not the 21st day, the first day. Where was the angel for those 3 weeks? Fighting, warfare in the spiritual realm. Why? Because when Daniel prayed, his spirit broadcast a frequency that shook the heavens and threatened the enemy's kingdom. That's you. Every prayer you've whispered, every tear you've shed, every moment you've stood firm, when everything in you wanted to quit, it's been broadcasting. And both heaven and hell have been responding. The reason your life has felt like a battlefield is because it is won. The reason you've never had the luxury of spiritual neutrality is because you were never meant to. The reason you can't just live a normal life like everyone else is because you're not everyone else. Your spirit shines, and that light is non-negotiable. Type "My spirit shines" if you feel this truth awakening something inside you. Because what I'm about to tell you next will explain why there's another kind of watcher, one that no one talks about, one that terrifies the enemy more than anything else. And this watcher has been with you longer than you've been alive. You know what breaks my heart? It's when I meet someone in their 70s, 80s, even 90s, and they tell me they feel utterly alone. They've buried their parents, buried their spouse, sometimes even buried their children. And they sit in that empty house, staring at old photographs, whispering to people who can't answer back. Or so they think. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. There's something the modern church stopped teaching, something your grandmother knew, but your generation forgot. Something so powerful, so comforting, so absolutely earth-shattering, that once you understand it, you'll never feel alone again. Hebrews 12:1 declares it with thunder. "Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us." Surrounded, present tense. Right now, not we're surrounded, not will be surrounded someday. Surrounded, this very moment. But here's what most preachers won't tell you. Here's what gets glossed over in Sunday school like it's just pretty poetry. That cloud of witnesses isn't some vague spiritual concept floating in the ether. It's real. It's personal. It's your people. Your mother who prayed for you every single day of her life. She's watching. Your grandmother who got on her knees beside that old bed and cried out to God for your protection. She's watching. Your father who worked his fingers to the bone so you could have a better life. He's watching. They're not ghosts, they're not haunting you, they are saints, ancestors, spiritual predecessors who have crossed the veil and now stand in the presence of the Almighty. And from that sacred place they observe, they cheer, they guide. Do you understand what this means for you right now? That feeling you get when you're sitting in church and suddenly you smell your mother's perfume. That moment when you're making a decision and you hear your father's voice in your head. That inexplicable comfort that washes over you in your darkest hour when there's no earthly reason you should feel peace. That's them. That's the cloud. Your mother's prayers didn't die when she did. They're still active, still working, still covering you like a blanket woven from decades of intercession. Your grandmother's faith didn't get buried in that casket. It lives on. It surrounds you. It holds you when you think you're falling. Think about this for a moment. Your life is a torch carried through generations. Your great-great-grandmother held it. Then your great-grandmother. Then your grandmother. Then your mother. And now it's in your trembling hands. And every single woman who carried that torch before you is watching to see how brightly it burns. Not to judge you. Not to criticize. But to honor you. To cheer you on. To whisper in the spiritual realm, keep going. You're doing better than you think. We're so proud of you. You think you walked through that cancer diagnosis alone. You think you buried your husband with no one holding you up. You think you survived that financial collapse by sheer willpower. No, beloved. The cloud was there. Your ancestors were standing in that hospital room with you. They were sitting beside you at that graveside. They were holding you together when you should have shattered into a million pieces. You were never alone in your grief. Not once, not for one single solitary second. Every tear you cried, they caught. Every prayer you whispered, they amplified. Every time you wanted to give up but somehow found the strength to keep going, that strength came from somewhere beyond yourself. It came from the cloud of witnesses who refused to let you fall. But here's the part that's going to wreck you. Here's the truth that should make you fall to your knees right where you're sitting. Heaven has given you an audience, not to judge you, not to condemn you, but to honor you, to bear witness to your faithfulness, to watch the final chapters of your story and marvel at how God has sustained you through everything hell threw at you. You feel watched because you are watched, and what they see when they look at you isn't your failures. It's not your mistakes. It's not the times you stumbled or the moments you doubted. What they see is a warrior, a survivor, a torchbearer who refused to let the flame go out even when the wind howled and the darkness pressed in from every side. Your grandmother is watching you carry that torch she handed down, and she's saying, "Look at my baby. Look at how strong they are. Look at how faithful. That's my legacy, walking on two legs." Your mother is watching you navigate these final years with grace and dignity, and she's whispering to the angels, "That's my child." Still standing, still believing, still trusting God, even when life makes no sense. Your father is watching you hold your family together, and he's nodding with that proud smile you remember, thinking, "They learned well. They're going to be just fine." This is why you can't shake the feeling of being observed. This is why, even in your most private moments, you sense a presence. You're living your life on a stage with an audience of heaven cheering you toward the finish line. The cloud of witnesses isn't just watching to see if you make it. They already know you will. They're watching to celebrate every victory along the way. But I need to tell you something else. Something darker. Something that's going to make the hair on your arms stand up. You've been watched by heaven, yes. But you've also been watched by something else. Something that doesn't cheer for you. Something that doesn't want you to finish well. Something older than time itself, and it's been tracking your every move since the day you were born. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to tell you is going to explain every inexplicable attack you've endured across your entire lifetime. That betrayal in your 20s that came out of nowhere. That financial collapse in your 40s that made no logical sense. That sudden sickness in your 60s that doctors couldn't explain. That family conflict in your 70s that tore apart relationships you thought were unbreakable. They weren't random, they were coordinated. Some attacks you faced in your 20s, 40s, 60s were from the same spiritual enemy tracking your calling. The same demon that tried to destroy you at 25 is the same one studying you at 75. This isn't multiple battles, beloved. This is one long war. And the enemy has been taking notes on you for decades. Why? Because darkness doesn't waste resources on nobodies. Hell doesn't deploy its best weapons against people who pose no threat. The intensity of your opposition is direct evidence of the magnitude of your assignment. Think about Job. Satan didn't just attack him once and walk away. He studied him, watched him, waited for permission. Job 1-7 records God asking Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it, roaming, watching, tracking the righteous." That's what's been happening to you. The enemy has been circling your life like a predator, waiting for moments of weakness, orchestrating setbacks, engineering disasters designed to make you quit before you discovered who you really are. Every time you almost gave up but didn't, that wasn't luck. That was God's hand holding you when hell was pulling. Every time you should have broken but somehow kept standing, that was divine intervention, blocking a kill shot aimed at your destiny. But here's what breaks my heart. You've been blaming yourself, haven't you? Thinking you did something wrong, wondering why your life has been harder than everyone else's, questioning if God was punishing you. No. You've been under targeted spiritual surveillance because the darkness watches, because it fears the moment you finally realize who you are. The enemy saw your future before you did. He recognized the threat you'd become at 80 before you even turned 8. So he's been trying to abort your mission through depression, divorce, disease, and disappointment. But look at you. Still here. Still breathing. Still believing. The fact you're still here means the enemy failed again and again. Every suicide thought you resisted was a failed assassination attempt. Every temptation you walked away from was a trap that didn't work. Every door that slammed in your face was God protecting you from a setup disguised as opportunity. 1 Peter 5-8 warns us, "Your enemy the devil prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour." But notice he's looking, he's prowling, he's watching, because he knows that one awakened chosen one is more dangerous than 1,000 sleeping believers. Type "I outlived every attack" if this resonates with you. You survived what was designed to kill you. And now, beloved, now comes the part that's going to change everything. Now, let me show you how heaven turns this watching into your advantage. You want to know something that's going to break your heart wide open and put it back together all at once? Nothing you've ever done in secret has been lost. Not one tear. Not one whispered prayer at 2 a.m. when you thought God had gone deaf. Not one act of kindness when your own heart was shattering. Not one moment when you chose forgiveness over bitterness, love over hatred, faith over fear. Listen to me, beloved. There are angels assigned to your life whose only job is to write, to record, to document every single moment when you thought no one was paying attention. Psalm 56-8 says it plainly. "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." Did you catch that? Every single tear. That night in 1987, when you buried your husband and came home to an empty house, heaven was writing. That morning in the hospital when the doctor said cancer and you gripped the edge of that bed trying not to scream, heaven was writing. That moment last Tuesday when you sat alone at the kitchen table, wondering if anyone still remembered you exist, heaven was writing. But it's not just your pain they're recording, chosen one, it's your faithfulness. Every time you stayed kind when the world gave you permission to be cruel. Every time you forgave someone who never even apologized. Every time you got out of bed when staying down would have been easier. Every time you prayed for your children even after they stopped calling. Every time you tithed when your bank account was screaming. Every time you smiled through heartbreak because you refused to let bitterness win. The recording angels wrote it all down. While the world ignored you, heaven was documenting you. While people forgot your name, God was engraving it on his hands. While society dismissed you as just another senior citizen taking up space, the Almighty was saying to his angels, "Watch this one closely. This one is mine." You think your life was wasted. You think those 60, 70, 80 years of struggle meant nothing. You think nobody noticed when you kept showing up, kept believing, kept trusting, even when the evidence said, "Give up." Heaven writes down what earth ignores. Every act of mercy you showed when you had none left to give. Every prayer you whispered for people who never knew you were interceding. Every night you chose worship over worry. Every morning you declared faith over your circumstances. Every moment you stood strong when your body wanted to collapse. It's all there, written in eternal ink, recorded in books that will be opened when this temporary world burns away and only what was done for Christ remains. Your life was never wasted. Your battles were never forgotten. Your suffering is not unseen. It is sacred. But here's what's about to shake everything you thought you knew about these watchers. What happens when they stop just recording and start intervening? Chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred moment together, I need you to hold on to 3 eternal truths that will anchor your soul in the days ahead. First, you are being watched, but not to condemn you. You're being watched because heaven recognizes what you carry. Every tear, every prayer, every act of faithfulness has been recorded by angels who know your name. You are seen by the Almighty, and that changes everything. Second, the feeling of being observed that has followed you for 70, 80, 90 years, it wasn't paranoia, it was confirmation. You carry something so valuable that both heaven and hell assigned watchers to your life. Your existence threatens darkness and delights the throne of God. Third, your life has never been ordinary, and your story is far from over. The same God who watched over you in your darkest valleys is still working in your life right now, orchestrating moments you cannot yet see, preparing blessings you haven't imagined. But here's what I need you to know with absolute certainty. You are not walking this journey alone. Even when your house is quiet, even when the phone doesn't ring, even when it feels like the world has forgotten you, God has not moved. He is still watching, still recording, still intervening on your behalf. And beyond that, you have a community right here. Thousands of chosen ones who understand exactly what you're feeling. We see you. We believe in you. We will stand with you in prayer. So let me ask you this. Now that you know you're being watched by heaven itself, how will you live differently today than you did yesterday? Before you go, join me in this prayer. Place your hand on your heart and let these words wash over your spirit. Heavenly Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of every precious soul hearing these words. You see them, Lord. You know their names. You've counted every tear and recorded every moment of faithfulness. Tonight, I pray, you would remind them that they have never been invisible to you. God, open their eyes to see the angels standing watch. Open their ears to hear your voice above the noise. Open their hearts to receive the love you've been pouring out even when they couldn't feel it. Bless their remaining days with purpose and peace. Provide for every need. Heal every wound. Restore what the enemy has stolen. And let them walk in the unshakable confidence that they are watched, they are loved, and they are never, ever alone. In Jesus' mighty name, Amen. Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me, have you felt watched your entire life? Share your story. Ask your questions. This community is here to pray with you and remind you that you're not alone in this calling. And if this message touched your soul, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. There's someone in your life right now who feels invisible, who needs to know that heaven is watching them too. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Every week, we're diving deeper into the mysteries of your calling as a chosen one. You are seen, you are known, you are loved. Until we meet again, walk in the peace of knowing that the eyes of heaven never leave you. God bless you, chosen one.